In the words of Toni, what's he cooking? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Pep Guardiola. Tony, I'll come straight to you. What is this guy cooking? The years go by, he changes it. Sometimes he's right. Sometimes we go, wow, he's a genius. Sometimes we go, he's overthinking it. And Real Madrid is on its way. A game that stopped them from getting to that final last season. But the team that played, there's a lot of differences. There has to be. Cancelo played in those games. Gabriel Jesus played as the central striker in those Champions League games. And recently, Alvarez and Haaland have been playing together. So is that... I'm going to read this, and you know I don't agree with it, because nothing is set in stone when it comes to Pep Guardiola. Alvarez and Haaland, are they going to form an unstoppable and immovable partnership forevermore? Tony.
Oh, well, you just never know with Pep Guardiola. If I'm trying to tap into the mind of him.
The one thing we do know is what you see you can't really trust, and what nothing stays the same. He's fluid. He's like water.
Exactly. And if I'm going to answer that question, will they have this unstoppable force together? I think the answer is no. I only feel that because Haaland can be the unstoppable force by himself. Literally, Real Madrid got battered by Manchester City last season in the Champions League semi-final, and it wasn't until the few last minutes in which Rodrigo scored 2 injury time goals and then Benzema in extra time, and that's how they got through to the Champions League final. But before that, Man City won the first tie, and they were up in the second tie, and they literally could have scored with Grealish chances. So they're not far away from beating Real Madrid, and obviously it's a different Real Madrid side. If Alvarez is there to replace Kevin De Bruyne, fair enough. I get what he's trying to do, but I don't think it's a direct replacement. If we look at Alvarez, he only averages 0.7 passes per 90, and he's only created 2 big chances this season. So you're not really getting that Kevin De Bruyne role if you're with Alvarez. Alvarez is a striker. He's there to score. And really and truly, you don't really need 2 strikers when you have someone like Erling Haaland, right? So I feel like if he's there to kind of replace Kevin De Bruyne, no. But if this is a chance to kind of catch Real Madrid off their tails and think like, oh, I didn't think Pep was going to have 2 strikers today, what are my centre-backs going to do? Then by all means, sure. But if you're looking at this as a Kevin De Bruyne replacement, then I'm not.
What if he's not a Kevin De Bruyne replacement? What if he's just another solution for Pep Guardiola to just throw in there whenever he fancies? Because he's certainly not. He's not anywhere near the level of Kevin De Bruyne in terms of passing, but in terms of goal scoring, he's probably one of the very few players that has the license to go shoot from wherever you want. You can make all your own decisions because you're raw.
The Fulham goal is disgusting.
Yeah, but like normally, does Pep let anyone else shoot from there apart from De Bruyne? No. Because he doesn't really trust anyone else. He's kind of said to Alvarez, you're a young lad, go do your thing, and we'll figure it out around you. And because he's so explosive, and because he's so unpredictable, and because his pressing is unbelievable, you've now got this extra solution on top of your fluid front 3 that used to be fluid, and now it's Haaland through the middle with your wingers too wide, and Grealish holds the ball, and the other winger gets the license. Alvarez is now just another trump card for Pep Guardiola to use whenever he fancies. I actually quite like the idea of him playing as a 2 up front, and I looked at the Arsenal game where it was De Bruyne and Haaland. I think Alvarez can play that role, that version of De Bruyne where it was literally big and little, as Big Sam would say.
Big Sam loved it.
Yeah,
and that was above Big Sam, as we know.
Hit the big man up top and get the little man running off him. Alvarez has that in the locker. Whether you can replace what De Bruyne brings with everything else, I don't think you can.
That's interesting, because I think, you're talking as much. You're saying solutions. You're also kind of saying profiles, different profiles. And with Alvarez, he's not really like any other profile in that team, because I think when even when De Bruyne plays like he did in that game against Arsenal, you're kind of going, oh, like that's not really him. He's more of a midfielder. He wants to come over to that right hand side and pick up the ball, or even the left hand side as well. Alvarez still has that instinctual striker in him, and for a team that often dominates games in the final third, you kind of want that sensibility and that profile more so than a De Bruyne, and you also kind of want De Bruyne to be able to drift out and it not be a loss to the team, because you've still got those 2 guys in the middle. So I think it's another sort of weapon in his arsenal for Pep Guardiola in terms of what he's cooking for the Real Madrid game. Do you see Alvarez being a part of this in any way? Because one question I would have in terms of that game against Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. is such a key part of that team. And I think too, Valverde and Vinicius Junior sort of stretch the pitch when needed to allow them that if the game is open, they can deal with it. But if it's tight, you've still got that run in behind, which is so dangerous from Vinicius Junior. What do Man City want from that game? Do they want it to be tight and slow, or do they want it to be box to box, end to end? Because Real Madrid will be dangerous, but Man City are obviously very dangerous as well.
I feel like Man City are going to go to they're going to go to that game and play their way. I feel like they're a good enough team to do that. We saw them do it last season against Real Madrid, but they don't want it. I don't think they can do it end to end with Real Madrid, because Real Madrid have a lot of good youngsters as well. Playing end to end with Vinicius just sounds like a recipe for disaster. Now you've got Camavinga playing left back. He's kind of playing inverted and he's moving up as well. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking Man City do not want that in a sense. But Man City are a good enough team in the way they've been playing to stop that. Even though they barely play with fullbacks now, they're now playing three at the back, or Kanji's at left back, or Ake's at left back, or Rico Lewis is at left back, or Bernardo Silva's at left back. Who knows who the left back is? We don't know when it comes with Pep.
But one weapon that he has used recently is, like, again, that Arsenal game is, okay, we're going to go back to front a little bit quicker here and stretch it out. And because I think if you stretch it out a little bit, especially when you're essentially playing four centre-backs, or they have done that at times, might not be available for this one, but otherwise it's going to be Walker's strong there as well. By stretching the game, you're not giving Vinicius Junior as much space in behind. And I don't think there's much more frightening stuff, be it Haaland going with Alvarez with him, or again coming back to Alvarez, if you might play him in a game like this, it being stretched and having Man City players, again, if you think about that Arsenal game when they gave the ball away and then they were running at them, I don't think there's a better team than Man City. So I wonder if he wants it to be open because he believes in that back line of his.
This is probably the most tournament-ready Man City team we've seen, in the sense that now they can play slow, but they can play quick. And I think in tournament football, the reason why Madrid are so successful is because they can play quick.
And they play long as well as playing short.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas City could only play short. Even in the last two games against Real Madrid, they still stuck to that style. I think if there's ever a game that showed us that they can do both, it's obviously the Arsenal game. And I think he'll say to Madrid at times, your midfield dominates games, let them have the ball. Because now we've got that combination up front which will kill any defence in the world, whether it's De Bruyne and Haaland or Alvarez and Haaland. I think he's saving De Bruyne for the Madrid game, to be honest.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We can't trust in Pep Guardiola going, okay, here we go, this is what it's going to be. We saw Kyle Walker coming in for that Arsenal game. So same with Gundogan as well, not starting that game against West Ham. Is he and Edison as well? Is he the truth is that Alvarez is an important part of the squad, but will be nowhere near that starting lineup. Do you think it will revert to type, or do you think he's thinking up something?
You never know. You never know with Pep Guardiola. But I feel like if I'm gonna tap into what I know, I feel like he's gonna revert to type. I feel like he's gonna try and play his way, and his way will have Kevin De Bruyne at the forefront of it. I feel like Alvarez will have a massive part to play. Maybe he might start. Who knows? But Kevin De Bruyne will be there. Haaland will be there. You just never know with Pep.
You know what I would go to? I think more so than ever, I think he really, really loves and trusts Gundogan in those big games. He really, really loves and trusts De Bruyne, of course. Obviously Haaland. And then another important player here that we haven't spoken about, Bernardo Silva has to play in this game.
Yeah.
You know how much I love this guy.
Yeah.
Like the work rate that comes from him, he in a game like that, he's the antidote to Valverde a little bit, because Valverde is again just eats grass, and Silva provides that for them. So to crowbar Alvarez in, I just can't see it.
You need your right back to have protection against Vinicius. Like every team has to protect their right back against Vinicius, because he is, in my opinion, the most deadly winger in the world, because he cheats. He just hangs wide and just stands there with it. He just drop in sometimes, but he just waits for the ball to turn over, and his runs are so well timed, and they'll hit him 5, 6, 7, 8 times in a game. That's where you need your Bernardo Silva. But also, because Madrid play Camavinga at left back, you don't actually need a winger who's going to take him on. So I'd imagine it'd be Bernardo Silva on that right wing position, and then a midfield three of Gundogan, Rodri and De Bruyne, with probably Grealish. And then I think the team, for the first time ever in a Champions League game, picks itself. I say that now. He's going to make 10 changes. He hasn't got a clue. But I'd imagine that's probably the team he goes with. And then Madrid just have to try and find a counter to that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.